Okay. Hello everyone. Today we will deal with one new concept in the Z transforms. Just let me recall you what all we have covered till now. The very first topic was Z transforms, the basics. If we started with the equation, then we solved few problems based on how to find the Z transform X of Z with the simple questions. Then we went to find the ROC, region of convergence. Then we went for region of convergence properties and few problems on that. Then we have seen few properties of Z transform. Some 10 properties we had listed, out of it some 6 properties we derived, and based on those properties we have solved few problems. This was the first part. Then we have made a table also. If you remember the list of what are the sequences X of n and what are their Z transforms X of Z. Then in the second part we came across inverse Z transforms. What all we have covered there, two methods to find the inverse Z transforms. The first one is partial fraction expansion, the second one is power series expansion. In the partial fraction expansion, two different types of problems we have solved. If numerator power is less, direct partial fraction, denominator should be factorized and continued. Then second case, when numerator power is either equal or greater than the denominator, we went for long division method, and then we went for partial fraction. And a few of the recent classes we have covered power series expansion method, wherein we have compared the coefficients of the quotient which we got with the X of Z expanded series. After comparing, we have got the X of n sequence. Till this much we have covered. Now today we are going to deal with this concept. You can just see the heading. It is transform analysis of LTI system. This kind of heading you have already seen in convolution as well. If you just remember, analysis of LTI system, where you have found out what is your y of n, what is the relationship between X and H, impulse response, all those. So as a system, you collectively, if you give some input to the system, if you get some output, and if the impulse response is H, then what is the relation between these? This you have already studied in convolution. So similar to that, if we have a system with this relationship, it's there already, no need to do that, it's already there. If we have a system with the input as X of n, H of n as the impulse, Y of n as the output, then according to our convolution, the output is given by Y of n is equal to H convolved with X, or X convolved with H, because convolution is commutative. Okay, this already you have seen, and you have solved few problems also based on this in convolution part. Okay, in module 2 you have already solved. Now we have to check the transform analysis. If this is the system given, if individually transforms are there, how transforms are related, transforms in the sense Z transforms, okay, ZT, how they are related. So we have to go for that, and again we will be solving few problems based on this. No doubt, whatever problems we are solving, they look bigger, but however, what all we have done till now in the first and the second part, the Z transform and the inverse Z transform, both application is there in this third part, in the transform analysis. So let us check what it is. You just now you have seen this is your system, then the output is given by Y is equal to H convolved with X. If you take the Z transform for this, what is the Z transform of Y of n? Assume it is, say, capital Y of Z, and Z transform of H of n, it is capital H of Z, and Z transform of X of n, it is X of Z. But one observation you can make, in time domain it is convolution, but when I'm taking the transforms, it has got converted into multiplication. This property already we have seen in convolution, sorry, even in convolution as well as in Z transform properties. what this property says, if you have convolution in time domain, if it gets transformed in frequency domain, then convolution gets changed to multiplication. That is the advantage, the calculation, the manipulations will become easy for you. Convolution gets converted to multiplication. So that's why this part is replaced with, after transform, applying the transform, y of z will be h of z into x of z. Then what is h of z? It is the ratio of y by x. And this h of z, we call this system function or the transfer function. I think this term you have already studied in control system, the transfer function h. Okay, so it is the ratio of output by input, y by x. So this is important. Many of the problems we have to take this relationship as a reference, and we need to find the required thing. Okay, so with this much as the background, h of z is equal to y by x in z domain. In transform analysis, this is the relationship. With this basic relationship, let us try solving few problems. Check the first problem. A causal system has input x of n and output y of n. This is the given thing, causal system. So remember, it is causal. So right hand side sequence. Okay, the signal is right hand sided, that is ROC is greater. ROC is outside the circle. So a causal system has input x of n and output y of n. What we want to find? We have to find the impulse response h of n if the system has the input x and output y of n. This is your input, this is your output. You need to find h of n. Okay, if the same question is given in convolution, how will you proceed? We have the relationship, output is given by x convolved with h, and finding it out will be bit tedious to you if you take the approach of convolution. But an easier approach we can try with the transformations, with the application of z transforms. Let's see how we can do. This is the given x of n and this is y of n. Okay, so what we can do is, if I individually apply, individually, okay, consider x of n as one separate equation. Anyhow, there are two separate equations given in a system. Input x of n is this. So if I apply the z transform to x of n, I will get x of z. Similarly, if I apply z transform to y of n, I will get y of z. So these two are known to us. So according to this transform analysis, we know already h of z is given by y by x. Already we have got x and y. Take the ratio, we will get h of z. But what is the equation? What we need to find? We need to find the impulse response h of n. H of z is known to us. How to get h of n? That is transformed value we know. We want original sequence. That is, we need to go for inverse z transform. We will get impulse signal back. Okay, instead of x, imagine h, you imagine you have x of z. Instead of h, imagine you want to find x of n. How will you do this? You just apply the inverse z transform, you will get this. So the method uses the first two concepts. First, going for z transform, then second part using the inverse z transform. So this third part, the transform analysis, whatever problems you are dealing now, they want the knowledge of both the first part and the second part. So I hope you got it. So this is your given x of n and this is your y of n. As I said, because h of z is given by y by x, we want the y of z and x of z. So apply the z transform for this signal x of n. So what is the z transform of x of n? It is x of z. And what is the z transform of delta of n? In the first most problems, okay, I think I had given this delta of n as a homework, wherein x of z you have got it as 1. Okay, so ROC was the entire plane except few points, something like that. So delta of n, the z transform is given by 1. If you don't remember, you can just go through that last page table in the first part. I have given you that, even I have shared the slides. The last page, there is a list of sequences and their z transforms. So delta of n, its z transform is given by 1, and 1 by 4 I have kept it as it is, plus 1 by 4. Now what is the inverse z, what is the z transform of delta of n minus 1? I think in the table this is given to you. Okay, for delta of n minus k, this is your z transform, z raised to minus k. Whatever shift is there, that will be the power of z. Okay, so if k is equal to 1, delta of n minus 1, your z transform will be z raised to minus 1. The shift will be the power. So for delta of n minus 1, z transform is z raised to minus 1. Then minus 1 by 8 is kept as it is. Next, delta of n minus 2. So for delta of n minus 2, your z transform will be z raised to minus 2. So this shift will be the power. So that's why it is z raised to minus 2. So in this way, we will find the z transform of x of n. We got x of z. That is denominator part we got for this h of z. Now we want y of z. So y of n is given to you. Take the z transform for this equation. Z transform of y of n is y of z. Z transform for delta of n is 1. Z transform of c minus 3 by 4, I have kept it as it is. Z transform of delta of n minus 1 is z raised to minus 1. So in that way, for y of n, we have found y of z, which is the numerator of h of z. So once we have got x of z and y of z, the next thing is considering this equation. We know that from the transform analysis, the transfer function h of z is given by the ratio y by x. So that's what I have written here. We know that the transfer function is given by y by x. So y we have calculated, put it. X we have already calculated, put it. Now we have got h of z, but what is the equation? We need to find the impulse response, that is h of n we want. H of z is there with us, we want h of n. It is just like x of z is there with us, find x of n. How will you do this? We need to apply the inverse z transform. So given h of z is with us, just try to manipulate this and we have to go for inverse z transform. If you remember, in the second part we have dealt with inverse z transforms. There are two methods to go for inverse z transforms. One is partial fraction, the other one is power series. So tell me, for this particular question, h of z is this. If you people are there here, for this particular h of z equation, which method is applicable? Whether we should go for first one or the second one, whether partial fractions or power series expansion. You can put it in the chat box. Yes, partial fractions we should go, because this kind of things already already we have seen in IZT two methods, partial fractions. So in the partial fractions, if you just see the equation, uh, what observation you can make here is the numerator power is less and denominator power is more. So out of two conditions for partial fractions, the first condition is getting satisfied. Numerator power is less, denominator power is more. That's why we should go for the first condition, directly go for partial fractions. And how will you go for partial fractions? Denominator is in the form of a quadratic equation. So just factorize that equation and go for partial fractions. It is as simple as that. So you just see here, I'll just zoom it out. I have calculated. This is your equation given. What I have done, I have taken the LCM. Then whatever Z value, Z inverse is there, I have substituted it as A. Okay. So it will be minus A square plus 2A plus 8 divided by 8. Then you should multiply 8 and minus 1. So if you multiply, you should get minus 8. If you add, you should get 2 plus 2. So how is it possible? Uh, 4 to the 8. Okay, multiplication is done. 4 to the 8, but we should have a negative multiplication. But if you add those two numbers, you should get plus. So what I'll do, I'll take plus 4 and minus 2. So 4 to the 8 and minus 8 I'll get. If I just add them, plus 4 and minus 2, I'll get plus 2. So 4 to the 8 plus 4a and minus 2a plus 8 divided by 8. Further, if you just simplify, first two terms take a common, next two terms take plus 2 common. Just simplify this, these two brackets we will get. Then as we know that whenever we apply the inverse and alpha formulas, we have 1 plus or 1 minus. So 1 is the term we want. But if you just observe, you have a plus 2 and a plus 4. 2 and 4 are there. So we want 1 1. That's why take 2 and 4 common in that. If you take 2 and 4 common, if you take 2 common in this, you will be left with 1 plus, you have a here, 1 by 2. Okay, in the first bracket. And in the second bracket, if you take 4 common, you will be left with 1 minus a into 1 by 4. These two are the brackets. And the denominator, you have 8 and 2 and 4 in the numerator. 2 4 is 8, 8 8 gets cancelled. You will be left with these two brackets. And then replace this a by z inverse, because for our ease we had replaced z inverse by a in the quadratic equation. Finally, put a as z inverse. So you will get these two factors, 1 plus half z inverse, 1 minus 1 by 4 z inverse. So first part is over. In the partial fractions, we have got two factors. Now with this, we should go for partial fractions. Okay. If you apply the partial fractions, this is your LHS. It is given by a by 1 bracket plus b by 1 more bracket. These two denominator brackets can be exchanged, no issues. Okay. Then for further simplification, what you need to do, your LHS should have only numerator. That's why you multiply both LHS and RHS by this denominator. Okay, so that you will be left with only numerator at LHS. Then you will be left with a into, this term will get cancelled with this. So remaining is the other bracket. So a into other bracket plus b into, for b, 1 plus 1 by 2 z inverse gets cancelled. So the other bracket is 1 minus 1 by 4 z inverse. With this, let's try to, as you have a single equation and two unknowns, a and b, try to make one a 0 so that you can calculate another. For that, first time what I'll do, I'll put z inverse as minus 2. If I put z inverse as minus 2, I think a will go 0, right? 1 plus 1 by 2 into minus 2. 2 gets cancelled, 1 minus 1, you will get 0 into a. So which is 0. So if I substitute z inverse is equal to minus 2, I will get a as 0. Check for b into bracket 1 minus 1 by 4 into minus 2. And even at LHS also 1 minus 3 by 4 into minus 2. You simplify this. If you simplify, 1 plus 3 by 2 is equal to b into 1 plus 1 by 2. So this will be 5 by 2 is equal to b into 3 by 2. So 2 gets cancelled. B will be equal to 5 by 3. This is one time when we substitute z inverse as minus 2. Next time you put z inverse as 4. If I substitute 4, I think b will go. If I substitute like this into 4, z inverse as 4, 1 minus 1, 0. So b will go. If I substitute z inverse as 4, b will become 0. Just substitute at LHS and RHS. Simplify, 1 minus 3 is equal to a into 3. A will become minus 2 by 3. So after getting a and b, substitute in this equation. You will get a as 2 minus 2 by 3 and b as 5 by 3 divided by those two brackets. So this is up to h of z. We have got h of z now by using the partial fractions. So we have converted in two brackets form like this. Now we want h of n. H of z is known to us. We want h of n. How to do that? We should go for inverse z transform application. So if I do that, if I take the inverse z transform of this, what I will get? Observe the first bracket, minus 2 by, see, h of z will become h of n, no doubt, at the LHS. RHS minus 2 by 3 as it is. You are remaining with this much, 1 divided by 1 minus 1 by 4 z inverse. If you just remember in the first part, this is nothing but 1 by 1 minus alpha z inverse. What is alpha? It is 1 by 4. For this, the input sequence is alpha raised to n. So what is alpha? 1 by 4. So 1 by 4 raised to n. And why I have used u of n only? Because in the question it is mentioned that the system is causal, right-handed sequence outside the circle. That's why you have to multiply this with u of n. This is about the first bracket. Now let us go to the second one. I have written 5 by 3 as it is. Remaining is only this much, which is 1 divided by 1 plus 1 by 2 z inverse. I can write this. I can write this complete equation like this. 1 divided by 1 minus 1 by 2 z inverse. Right? Minus into minus will become plus. So what is alpha here? You have it 1 by 1 minus alpha z inverse. So alpha is minus 1 by 2. For this, the sequence is alpha raised to n. So what is alpha? Minus 1 by 2. So it is minus 1 by 2 raised to n. And as the system is causal, multiply it with u of n. So first part, we have applied the z transform. In the second part, we have applied inverse z transform and we have found h of z. So in this way, we have calculated impulse response h of n. So this, I hope this is clear to you. We will go for one more problem. Shall we continue? Okay, I'll take one more problem of similar kind. Okay. The question is, a causal system has input x of n, just like the same. Okay, earlier also input was given to you and output was given to you, and impulse response you need to find. So here also, if you just look causal system is there. So obviously when at the end you get the sequence, it should be u of n. Okay, right-handed sequence. X of n is given to you and y of n is given to you. So you need to find the impulse response and the system function both. No doubt in the previous question also we have found both. Okay. So what is the procedure to be followed? Very first thing is, we know that the transfer function is given by y by x. So first we should go for finding the y of z and x of z. X of n and y of n are given to you. Find y and x. Then take the ratio of both. You will get the system function h of z. This is the first part, applying the z transform. Second part, apply the inverse z transform to get impulse response h of n. So let us try to just solve this problem also. The difference is in the previous problem and this problem, if you just observe your x of n, it has something n minus 1 shift. Okay, only that is the change. Let's see how to consider that. Okay, I'll just zoom a little bit. Okay, so very first thing, given x of n and y of n. So first part, to find h of z, take y of z and x of z. So take the z transforms. If I take the z transform for x of n, x of z will be, what is this first part? Alpha raised to n u of n, which is 1 by 1 minus alpha z inverse. Alpha is 1 by 2. So this part is your z transform of the first part, half raised to n u of n, minus 1 by 4. I have written it as it is, minus 1 by 4. If you just check, you have alpha raised to n minus 1, u of n minus 1. So you have certain shift here in n. N is getting shifted to n minus 1. Here, one property comes into picture, that is time shifting property of Z transform. So what that time shifting property says, if your input sequence has this shift, whatever, I think it is n minus n naught. Okay, if input sequence has this shift, then your Z transform x of z should have z raised to that shift. Okay, so this is the property. Now we have this kind of question. Your input sequence has a shift of minus 1. So what your Z transform should have? A Z power Z raised to that amount of shift. That's why if you observe, the numerator has that shift, Z raised to minus 1, because the shift is n minus 1. So that is the numerator part. Denominator part is as it is alpha raised to n u of n. Alpha raised to n is, alpha is 1 by 2. So that's why it is 1 by 1 minus alpha z inverse. That's what is written in the denominator. So I hope this is clear to you. Why it has come z inverse? Because we have used a time shifting property of z transform. Then next step is, take the LCM. Denominator is common. Just simplify it. You will get this ratio of x of z. Now similarly, take y of n. Take the z transform of y of n. We will get y of z is equal to, what is alpha? It is 1 by 3 raised to n, u of n. So alpha is 1 by 3. So your z transform is 1 by 1 minus 1 by 3 z inverse, alpha z inverse. So we have calculated x of z and y of z. So the next part is, we should go for the ratio y by x, so that we can find system function. That is also the question. It is mentioned in the question. We need to find the system function. So take the ratio of both y by x. If I take the ratio of y by x, I will get this h of z. Okay. Now I have got h of z. I should go for h of n. So we should go for h of n means either we should apply partial fractions or power series expansion. So it is very much clear that we should go for partial fractions because two factors are already there in the denominator. And the first condition is getting satisfied. Numerator power is less, denominator power is more. So direct application of partial fractions. So just take a divided by one bracket plus b by the other bracket. Then follow the partial fraction simplification procedure. Multiply both sides by the denominator so that LHS has only numerator part. Then a into one bracket plus b into other bracket. Then for simplification, make any one value 0. At the first, I'm putting z inverse as 4 so that a will go 0. At second, I'm putting z inverse as 3 so that b will go 0. Substitute those two. First, substitute 4. Simplify the equation. You will get b as 3. And that next, substitute a 3. Simplify both LHS and RHS. You will get a as minus 2. Once you get these two, h of z is this. Substitute a and b value. Okay. So I hope the simplification is very much easier for you. Simple mathematics. So after getting h of z, we want h of n, impulse response. To find the impulse response, we should go for inverse z transform. If I take the inverse z transform for this, just take h of z will become h of n, minus 2 is kept as it is, and alpha here remaining is 1 by 1 minus 1 by 3 z inverse, which is nothing but 1 by 1 minus alpha z inverse. So alpha is 1 by 3. I have written 1 by 3 raised to n u of n plus 3 as it is. And what is this? It is 1 by 1 minus 1 by 4 z inverse. Alpha is 1 by 4. Hence 1 by 4 raised to n u of n. I have multiplied both with u of n because in the question it is mentioned that the system is causal, right hand sided sequence outside this circle. So multiply it with u of n. So with this we have calculated both your h of z and h of n. So I hope this problem is also clear to you. Shall we take one more problem? I have solved this half. You should continue this half. Okay. Again, the question is, see, a system has the impulse response h of n is given to you. Input is given. We need to determine the input. There is a slight change here. Till now, x and y were given. You need to find h. Now, what is the given thing? Y is given to you, h is given to you. You need to find the input. Little bit change. So how to do this? We know that already the system function is given by y by x. Okay. I want input sequence x of n. So for input sequence x of n, I should know x of z. So that's why just alter this equation a little bit so that x of z will be y by h. Just exchange these two terms so that you will get this. Once you get this x of z, you can find x of n by applying the inverse z transform. So now what you need to do is you have to take the given two equations and you have to take the help of the system function h of z equation. Okay. So very first part I have done. Take the inverse z transform for both h and y. See, I have done that. For y, it will be y of z will be 1 by 3 into u of n. U of n is nothing but 1 by 1 minus z inverse. That's why I have substituted it like this. Plus 2 by 3 as it is. Alpha is minus 1 by 2. Hence, it is 1 by 1 plus half z inverse, or minus of minus 1 by 2 you can write. Again, it will become 1 plus half. Okay. So this is about the first h of n's z transform h of z. Then go for y of n's z transform y of z. Then go for h of n. So take the z transform. What I have done, it's not I. Okay. I should be eliminated. It is taking the Z transform. I have written wrong. Just see here. I have written IZT. It should be ZT. Remember, okay? We are not now going for IZT. First, we are going for Z transform. So if I take the Z transform in both the cases, for H of n, the Z transform is H of Z, and it is 1 by 2 raised to n U of n, alpha raised to n U of n, 1 by 1 minus alpha Z inverse. So H of Z. So I have got two things now. One is Y of Z and one more is H of Z. I have got these two. I want X. How to get that? X can be given by Y by H. So already Y of Z and H of Z we have got. Take the ratio of 2 and further use the partial fractions. After getting the partial fractions, go for inverse Z transform. That part I have not done here till. You can just try it. Fine. So I hope two problems are clear to you. The third problem is a little bit modified, wherein the input sequence you have to find rather than impulse. The first two problems were to find H of n. The third problem is about finding the input X of n. So a little modification in H of Z equation is required here. So I hope the third problem half I have done. I have calculated Y of Z and H of Z. I hope you will try finding X of Z first, taking the ratio of Y by H. Once you get this, you will get some numerator by denominator. Then go for application of partial fractions. You will get two brackets. Then after getting this, you can just try out finding the inverse Z transform. So we will continue the remaining solution. Please try it, okay? If you try, if you have genuinely tried, please put it in the group also. Let me see how many of you are able to do it. After doing this, anyhow, in the next class, I'll be continuing this